I try not to do videos on esoteric topics, like extremely esoteric. The reason for that, it kind of scares the normies. Yeah. And I've made more than a few videos. I didn't think anybody would watch it, but a lot of people found it fascinating. And I love to do videos on topics that other people don't discuss. One of them was on talismans, and people actually use it as a focusing device. People have been asking me to do videos on dowsing for a long time. I actually was brought up being taught how to dowse by my grandfather. The guy that actually dug for the water line in the backyard back here. He's done lots and lots and lots of digs for water lines. He went out there with dowels. Yeah, this is where we dig right down here, to hook up to the main line to do a clean out line in my backyard. Interestingly, I have a thing that's called backyard oil. It's about successful wildcatters that will drill in somebody's backyard. Someone has a farm basically, but it's in their backyard for oil. Drilling is really, really, really expensive. And so people can go bankrupt easily and their business is gone. There's no successful oil wildcatter that doesn't use a professional dowser. Isn't that fascinating? Not a single professional oil wildcatter that doesn't use a professional dowser. Isn't that amazing? So it's about focusing, and these talismans themselves don't have power. That's why I've laughed at people that laugh at. I use the word esoteric. I don't use the word occult. Occult is a pejorative word used by Judeo-Christianity to refer to anything. It's not Judeo-Christian. Nothing at all connected to the New Age movement, by the way. Since you see this genuine crystal quartz ball on my table, people use something as a focusing mechanism for the mind. And getting on to the metaphysics of this, and I laugh at people that laugh at the idea of, and what they are is their talismans. Just like this can be a talisman. It doesn't have to be a Ouija board, it can be something like this. People say, well, like in a Ouija board, there's no way that thing can work. It works no different than this. It's a focusing mechanism as a talisman. You start to, how good the focus is, you open the door. Yeah? You open the door. And what comes through is not only not grandpa, you're down on death row. The only difference is you're inviting the death row inmates in through a talisman, a portal that you're using. There's nothing in that plastic or pressed, there's nothing magical there. Everything is through you as a focus. To look up Egyptian false doors. What did you think Egyptians, these think the ancient Egyptians, well, it's a religious icon. It's just an idea, a concept of their religion. I've heard that before from Egyptologists. What do you think Egyptians used false doors for? Look up Egyptian false doors. There's recently an investigation done out at Kingman, Arizona. There's a school there. Anyway, the school is haunted as hell. And using a lot of, I think Oculus and the other device that uses laser reflectance dots, they found out a lot of these entities were coming through this one closet area, and it turns out these access closets where they store garbage and stuff in, they have dirt floors, so these entities are coming through no different than Egyptian false door through these the non-floored sections of the school, which are not where people tread, but where they stick excess garbage. It's just a regular dirt floor. It's like, oh, it's interesting. All of a sudden, these entities are popping up through the non-concreted sections of the center of the school. The seek and ye shall find, and that is not, a conventional or a conceptual meaning. It is actually extremely literal. If you really, really, truly, with all your heart and soul, want to know the answer, how do you think I actually uncovered the missing secrets of magnetism? I desperately, and desperate isn't strong enough of a word, wanted to know that answer for a long time. And I saw it, and the answer was revealed. The old passage, the religious passage, which is predating that religion, I'm not going to mention the religion of seek and you shall find, is more accurate than you realize. This idea of going into this Akashic place, kind of like and this sounds esoteric, I don't want to scare the normies, but it's true. There is a place, kind of like a library, a library of the cosmos that exists not in counter space, but underneath and behind and interior to all this phenomena, where if you truly want to know and you seek, you really will find it. There's all this esoteric, and I hate to use the word occultic because it is a slander word used by religions to refer to true metaphysics, be it Pythagorean or otherwise. People have made external to themselves, or that which they truly are, because every branch of metaphysics says there's two selves. This external talisman that they see in the mirror when they brush their teeth or comb their hair, not that I've done that in a long time. People can make a talisman out of anything. Unfortunately, they make portals within which and by which evil manifests. There's this one, you should look it up, it's the most haunted doll. It's called Robert the Doll. I actually watched an hour-and-a-half long series about this, and it's not about this ugly-looking doll. There's a guy that actually came possessed, and he used it for decades as a point of focus. And when it was rediscovered by his wife up in the attic, he got reattached to it, and he imbued it as like an active portal, what the ancient Egyptians did with these false doors. Look up ancient Egyptian false doors. It's no different than a physical false door, except it was a doll. This anthropomorphic representation, wherein which and by which someone used it to conjure that which, of course, is not good, but they get entranced by it. They get addicted to these icons, but the talisman that people see in the mirror, the psychophysicality, which is ever under flux and change, is another talisman wherein which and by which people suffer. Anyway, all the people that are around this doll suffer, including the male owner who refound it again thanks to his wife after those many decades where he'd actually put things up. I think he went into business and he went into the army or something like that. I forget about that. But things that are objectively focused upon always end up becoming portals for things that are not good. You cannot, any sort of objectivity, whether it be the psychophysical objectivity or things that, like The Exorcist is based upon a haunted house, which is not in New York, but located in New Jersey. No, not New Jersey, excuse me, St. Louis, Missouri. They couldn't sell it for decades. Recently it was sold, but nobody still lives there because the place is literally haunted as hell. The whole exorcism house was not a little girl. The movie was a little girl based in New York, but the real exorcist house is a house in St. Louis, Missouri, where I think a different kind of youngster, I think he was mentally different. They said he used a Ouija board once again, and he put all his heart and soul into using that as a portal to open up an open door, a false door from this world to the one that sits just underneath it. And all sorts of bad things happen. They couldn't sell it. Everybody in the neighborhood knows it's haunted. Not by reputation. They'd hear things moving in the house. There's just, nobody could live there. Everybody that's actually bought it, sold it. But it was on the market for a really, really, really long time on Zillow.com. I'd always bring it up like every half year to see if it's sold yet. It's like, no, someone bought it. It's like, oh, no. And they couldn't stay there either. Yeah, well, I got a deal on it. Nobody wants to live here. Well, I don't care. I don't believe in that stuff. A couple people have done this at that house. I don't believe in that. I'm going to buy. It's really cheap. It's a big house. Good location. Nope. Can't live there. I kind of don't like discussing esoteric stuff like this because it does kind of scare the normies. But look into false doors. And unfortunately, don't read what the Egyptologists say about false doors. They say that these are, religious icons for giving homage to the dead. No, the ancient Egyptians used false doors exactly the same way ignorant kids used Ouija boards, the same way anybody uses, unfortunately, a talisman. There is an antecedent talisman, but a talisman would be incorrect. This antecedent void, but a void is also an incorrect word because a void is void of something else. There's no such thing as a void, just there's no such thing as a shadow or emptiness or wave. But that place where if you truly desire it, answers can be had. It's the very same place where I pull answers from on the most important subjects, the great mysteries of humankind. I find that of ultimate value. I hope this video wasn't too esoteric. I tried to keep it superficial without going, moderately superficial, without going too deep. I don't want to scare any normies away. I just wanted to give you an insight into things that seem so esoteric, and there's a lot of creepy and spooky movies that are made about it, but it's actually hyper-rational. Metaphysics is not something that is fringe. I mean, it's fringe for a materialist, but it's not fringe at all. But you have to be careful about dabbling into any of that stuff because it will burn you. It's like a kid playing with matches. It will easily burn you, sometimes almost literally.